Hey guys, Andy here from Mediocre Hobbies and bringing you something interesting, like an experiment, I think is what we should call this random episode. So normally us creators, when we are making videos, we have to go through this whole plethora of kind of decisions in order to know what kind of video to put out. We got to think of like a plot and the reasons and thumbnails and all the other crazy stuff that's going to try and make you guys watch the videos. I'm not particularly good at that particular part of it because I'm going for like a broader net. I'm trying to give you guys a million videos to help you build and paint thousands of different miniatures, and unfortunately some of those are obviously going to be a little bit nicher than I'd like, therefore they're going to have smaller audience and so on and so forth. So I thought in today's video we'd try and have a little bit of fun and just break the mold. So I'm just going to paint a random orc in a barrel for no reason other than I want to paint an orc in a barrel, and just to see if you guys will kind of break the internet with me. Give the video a watch, give it a like, maybe subscribe if you find it interesting, and yeah, for no other reason other than an orc in a barrel. So let's get into it. Okay guys, and this is the very fun, very well sculpted miniature that I shall be using for today's fun video. It comes from a creator called MrModulork. I will leave him linked down below, but I just want to caveat at the beginning, this gentleman is not paying me in any way, shape or form. He has no idea I'm making this video. I just love the orcs that he does. I've painted a bunch of his rebel grots before. I kind of use him as a relaxing thing whenever I just want to paint some cool orcs. I just print some of his stuff and I get painting. I don't usually use it for content. But for this particular video where we are just going to try and, I don't know, just ignore the algorithm a little bit. Can you guys help me ignore the algorithm? Just, if you could spare 10 minutes of your life, watch through the end of this video, give it a like and maybe subscribe if you feel so inclined. And hopefully just sit back and enjoy me painting this orc. It's not exactly a paint tutorial. I'm not going to be going through each and every paint that I'm doing here. But we all know this kind of... Oh, sorry, I assume a lot of people know, but a bunch of people might not know. This is quite a famous conversion. People have been making this kind of orc for many years. It used to be just one of the actual old 40k barrels from the barrels and... I don't know what other kit. It used to be like a 40k battlefield accessory. As a battlefield accessory kit, I think it was what it was called. And you got some tank traps, and you got a metal pallet, and you got a bunch of barrels. And obviously the orc players always tried to get their hands on the barrels, and then they would convert up this orc. Usually it was just a little bit simpler than this. They literally just cut the, from the knee down on an orc, glued those legs underneath the barrel, and then stuck some random arms out. They usually didn't bother, cracking the barrels or cutting a faceplate in and having an orc head through. And obviously they've scribbled a bunch of funny things on the side, like not orc inside and all those kind of stuff. And, if you go by the philosophy of an orc, he simply believes that he will be invisible on the battlefield. He will be able to sneak across no man's land, get in behind enemy positions and cause absolute havoc. And because he believes it, he wills it. This is not the only one of these type of conversions that does indeed exist for orcs. There is a whole host of incredible orc commando conversions that exist out there in the big bad world. Some of my favorite ones included an entire unit of different ones. This was one of them. One was they used the old jungle train, so it was like he was a big tree with his arms hanging out. There was one which the orc literally just held up a dodgy poster in front of himself with a crudely drawn space marine on it. All of those were hilarious and just added that kind of comedy to the orc side of things. Now normally I don't go in for the comedy style of orcs. I kind of prefer the more grim and dangerous look of them, hence why the orc army that I'm currently building is a very grim, very serious kind of looking force. But it is always nice to kind of break away from that and do something a little bit fun. Another incredible orc commando squad that I seen back in the day was it was a full squad of 10 orc commandos, and each one of them was holding a small bit of armor plating. And when you pushed all of the models in together in a specific way, they formed a Space Marine Rhino. So they were literally, it was almost like a testudo formation, but they pretended to be an orc or a Space Marine Rhino trundling across the battlefield. But indeed it was some orc commandos about to jump out and bash you with the side of a tank, to be honest. And that's kind of funny. So as you can see, I have really just thrown on some basic base coats on this miniature. The skin was done. The barrel, we're going to go for the traditional red, striped white, red kind of barrel. It's my favorite looking barrel. I don't know if you guys have a favorite looking barrel, but to me, that's always my favorite ones, as kind of weird as that is. MrModulork usually does sculpt his orcs a little bit bigger than the standard ones. I don't know exactly what scale you should pull his ones back to so they fit in the 40k universe. But I thought it'd be really funny to use this guy as a stand-in for a Skarsnik. Skarsnik's the wrong word. Snickrot. I already have a fully painted Snickrot, but I just think it would be funnier having this barrel-toting lunatic jump out from behind terrain and, you know, bash an entire unit of guardsmen or half a squad of space marines, which is what Snickrot can do by himself. He's quite a dangerous orc. I think it's pretty cool. So once all the shades are dried up, so I'm going in with the layering. Now I'm going to stick to the serious looking skin tone that I am going with for all of my orcs, which is, it goes up into like, you know, Ogre and Camo and Krieg Khaki and those kind of more pallid colors. And the idea with that is I was trying to make a more realistic looking orc skin tone, something that looked a little bit more natural, lots of brown tones in it. You know, something that looked like a living being and not like the toxic green glowing orc skin. Not that I have absolutely any problem with that, but toxic orc green skin is something I use for my fantasy. I like them to be kind of comical and funny. So for 40k, I want them to be grim, dark, and kind of terrifying. So that's what I went for. It's like the orc skin on this thing is like 5 or 6 layers of paint to get it right. But when it is done, I really do like the final result. When it comes to the barrel, obviously, I wanted it to look kind of grim and dark and stuff like that. So even though at this point I was trying to not take myself seriously, I did want it to kind of fit in with my force a little bit. So what I did was I obviously did the simple base coats with contrast. Then I'm going to do a very simple layer job, but I want it to be like nice scratchy layers. I'm not trying to look for like a pure opaque color. It's not what this is. This old piece of battlefield debris, this barrel has been, I don't know, kicked around for quite a long time. So it's not in any way, shape or form in pristine condition. That includes the paint job on it. And when I get a very quick coat of paint on the barrels for this particular miniature, then I'm going to hit it with something a little bit fun. And I'm going to try my rust technique or my rust effect that I used, the dirty down rust. So obviously we have used this before in some videos. I did a couple of tutorials showing you guys how I use this, the ways I think it kind of works, which is obviously to apply quite a thick coat of it and then use a watered down brush to kind of wash it back off, because it is reactivated. It reactivates with water. That's, I'm sure how you say that. So here is the red and white, kind of looks very cartoony right now. So like I said, I'm going to grab my dirty down rust now and do an entire coat just on the barrel and on the weapon blades and in this entire pistol. We're going to add some nice shading to those as well, make them look really dirty. And as you can see, I am going for quite a thick coat of this paint. It's how I believe it is used to its best result. I forgot to use a little bit of heat on it when I was drying it, which obviously would have caused it to look a little bit more rusty, if you will. But I'm still quite happy with the result that I did get. So how it works is, like I said, one solid coat across the entire barrel section and the weapons. And then you must wait for it to fully dry. It should look something like this. And it looks very grim, very old, very dark. And then I've gotten a dry brush and I've got a little bit, it's like a moist dry brush. I wouldn't say it's very, very wet, but it's got some moisture in it. And then I'm quickly going to kind of streak it away. It's kind of like doing that oil wash technique where you wait for the oils to dry and then you use a little bit of like isopropyl alcohol or something to wipe away some of the oils, leaving the recesses nice and dark. But obviously we don't want to remove as much as you would with that kind of isopropyl oil painting style. You definitely want the barrel to still look really grim, really dark, really kind of dank, if you will. And then obviously as this then dries, it will give a slightly rust technique. You see the pistol here being quite rusty. I don't want it to be this rusty. So adding the water and giving it a little scrape will remove the majority of the dirty down, but leave that nice, horrible, old style metal look in the recesses. And I quite like how that final result is. Now, it's not the final result, because what we're going to do now is very quickly dry brush over the barrel and the weapons with a little bit of silver. This is going to add all that scuffing and scratching and really just finish off the barrel as it goes. It definitely looks like some old battlefield debris now. And the technique for applying that rust is so simple. You can go check it out. Type in rust or dirty down rust into the search bar for my channel. And you can see the actual video on how I learned how to use this and moss and blood and all the other bits. And then obviously I went in with a fine brush and just accentuated some of the scratches and bullet holes and dents and stuff that the dry brush didn't catch to make it stand out properly. We're getting into that point now where it's nearly complete. I really like how it looks. I would be more than happy to have an entire unit of orcs this size and count them as my commandos. But like I said, he's a little bit too big to just stand in as a regular commando. So unless I get my hands on some smaller sculpts, or I just count this guy as the a character, a war boss or something like that, it's a bit of fun, which obviously could also work. Quick dry brush on the base, obviously standing on some cork that I kind of shaped down. I didn't bother putting any other texture paste on it right now because I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with the rest of the base. But I did dry brush it up to make it look finished, and then I just black rimmed the bottom and around the edges, just so it looks finished as I can make it look right now. I'd love to know what you guys' thoughts are on a random video like this, which it doesn't serve any particular purpose. Like, sometimes you just got to make a video for the sake of making a fun video, doing a model that you guys haven't seen before. I don't expect you guys to run out and buy this model or download this model or print this model or paint an orc like this. It's just for your viewing pleasure. So I'd love to know what you guys' thoughts are on this. Do you think about the idea of making some videos that just break the mold and just do something a bit weird and a bit out there and there's no real thought process behind it? Or do you think I should stick in my lane and continue to just do how-to videos on every single model in the 40k and Age of Sigmar universe, which is kind of what it feels like right now? Here's a couple of images I took of the model finished to give you guys an example of what it would look like on a battlefield. And like I said, I'm quite pleased with the final results. Very grim dark, which is something I don't usually do, but I know that's a whole aesthetic that people love. So hopefully there's a bit of a niche out there that are really enjoying this content. Okay guys, we have our finished orc in a barrel commando. He is definitely very sneaky, going to sneak up behind enemy lines, snake style, and manage to get in against the enemies and do what he needs to do. So yeah, a lot of fun building and painting something without really much thought. There's no particular reason for making this video other than, I don't know, a bit of entertainment. Hopefully you guys found it interesting. You got to see a really cool model. You liked the way the paint turned out, and yeah, you enjoyed it. If you did, do the normal things like comment, subscribe. Thank you everyone out there who supports me with things like Patreon and YouTube memberships. If you want to check those out, there are links below. But that's it. Hope you enjoyed it guys, and I'll see you in the next one.